Oh, God.
Oh, come on. That wasn't even that. Oh, dear. Patience. Oh, yes. We've seen him many times in ShoutCraft Kings. We've seen him many times in online events. Seems like Patience has been around forever. You know, constantly being there, doing well, never necessarily outstandingly well, but always competitive.
Yes, and he had a transformation. He was like a pretty good player, but probably towards the cheesy side, very timing attack.
Yes, yeah,
but I think even to this last BlizzCon, he just was a different kind of player. He was up there across all three matchups, one of the best.
Yep.
Scary in execution, but great micro, and just a work ethic that's hard to match. He is one of the worst interviews you could ever get, but one of the best players you can see in the game.
Absolutely. But here's an interesting stat for you. Now, I mentioned that, Kelazar had a rough time with knee, but, so did everybody. You know who else is having a rough time? Patience right now.
Yeah.
In the Protoss versus Terran matchup, his current win percentage is 19%. He's only won 4 maps out of his past 21 competitive matchups against Terran. That is extremely low for a professional player. That's a cursed matchup for him almost at the moment. Like, across his entire career, he hasn't had that issue, but lately, he's had no luck against Terran at all.
That's really rough. 19% is, that's not a number you hear.
No, it's not. Not from a professional. He's been having just a rough time in general lately, but that is historically low for him. Could be a problem, because Kelazar ain't messing around. Current reigning king of the hill, ladies and gentlemen, to the southwest position in the red trunks, playing Terran from Team Root, representing the country of Brazil. It is Kelazar. Looking to put another one on the board for the foreigners versus Koreans. What a cool accomplishment it would be for Kelazar to be the guy flying the flag in this tournament. Yep. Rather than the expected folks, somebody like Kelazar, someone from the South American region, which is been a strong but often overlooked region for a long time. Of course, they have the Copa America series, which is awesome.
Yes.
But usually when you think South American players and Mexican players, you're thinking Major. That's a name that comes up an awful lot. You're not necessarily thinking Kelazar.
No, but what's been cool is that they've always had a good and passionate and talented scene of StarCraft players. I'm thinking there were some pretty good ones in Brood War, even in Mexico, in Brazil, Hellghost, and some of these names that I could go on about that nobody else will get the reference to. But like you said, now Major, Cham, Kelazar, and before that, Cats, and some of these other Peruvian players as well. They've always had a good scene, but, and you stole the word right out of my mouth, it's been nice. Blizzard's been very dedicated to having Copa America and a lot of actual competitions down there for these scenes, and we're seeing those players turn into travel competitive players, which is a first time. I mean, for Pete's sakes, in both the round of 8s, we had 2 Mexican players at the last 2 WCS events. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Cham in particular, a player I must admit to have never even having heard of, really. Puts on a great performance at Yon Shopping. One of the advantages of, as much as I sort of don't agree with it, and I've put it on record that I don't agree with it, the idea of splitting up the Koreans and the rest of the world as much as the current system does, it does allow for players like Cham to actually shine, to get their name out there, and to start to really build a fan base. And it also gives people from that region somebody to cheer for, somebody to root for, that national pride being such a cool motivator in any form of sports, really gets you invested in the event.
Yeah.
And hell, the numbers on Yon Shopping proved that worked there. That was a very successful event. Lots of viewers. They went over 42,000 concurrents, I believe, at the highest point. Incredible.
Yeah.
So well done to them for that.
Especially considering, a lot of that was on Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the best viewership days, but they were able to get it done, and it's nice. There's still a lot of great StarCraft to be had out there. I mean, a lot of the people want to talk about it having a tougher time, and obviously for an older game it is, but there's still a lot of competitions, there's world-class players, and there's a lot of excitement as it builds up in this WCS. Like, we got Valencia coming right around the corner, but all of these time warp us, and all of a sudden we're talking about BlizzCon again, which I feel like we just talked about.
Yeah, it was like, didn't that just happen? All right, Oracle in play. Manages to maneuver around, do good damage.
Oh
Like,
my
Patience is playing quite nicely with that, and he doesn't even lose it. That is exceptional control there from him. Maneuvering it almost like he was flying it himself.
And on the flip side, nothing gets done on the other side of the map. Like you pointed out, the Oracle actually lives, which would have been a nice consolation prize. There is a medevac making its way out, but it has one Widow Mine that's on death's door.
Yeah.
And then there's already another Oracle actually waiting inside Patience base. This is what makes Patience tough, is when Patience is playing in his element, he is like a kind of like Hero that we had before, where his control is just on point.
Yes.
You are not going to beat him by him making the mistake of like losing 9 probes to a Widowmine drop. He says moments before, probably that exactly.
It could exactly happen. Oracle, Oracle just misses it. That is unlucky.
It's not going to happen.
No, he's got pylon overcharge ready, and he immediately targets the red health. Very nice, very nice. Detonation goes off. Does get 3 though. Like that's not too bad. More than perhaps he should have been able to get. It was a good shot.
Yeah, you know, if it was exactly 9, I'd probably stand up from my computer and just be like, "Sorry, John."
Yeah, it's like it's been an honor, Jeff. It's
another intercepted Oracle though, and that's the healthy one, actually.
Yeah, as we were talking about the control of Patience, it just, for some reason, Protoss today are not having a good time with air units.
Ugh.
Well, this is interesting. Stasis Ward.
He's gonna move out here and protect the Stasis Ward, and that's really what that is, by the way. He might push in a little bit, but it's mostly just him saying, nope, get away from here. I don't want you to see that I took a fast third. I've got a Stasis Ward I want to keep intact.
Yep.
I like, we haven't seen this, by the way. He's following this up with Blink and +1 attack. We've seen a lot of charge or maybe a glaive upgrade. But Blink after Stargate's less common, because usually players are like, well, I'm going to rely on Phoenix or my Stargate units to kind of cover the air. But Patience is very good with the Blink Stalkers.
Yeah. When you mentioned that Patience was initially kind of known as a bit of a cheesy player, the interesting thing is that when those players do evolve and take on a more macro-oriented style, they often inherit one of the key things to being good at cheese, which is micro. You can't pull off these intricate cheeses without the control to back it up. So you put that in the hands of a player who's suddenly discovered a wealth more ways to win, and that's a very dangerous combination.
Absolutely agreed. I mean, the other part of that too, and where the micro comes from, is that Patience is a grinder. I imagine he still is, but I've been to a lot of tournaments and sat around and been with the players. Patience kept to himself, eats what he has to, and he plays StarCraft. That is about it. And if you ask him what he wants to do, it's to play StarCraft. He's a legit grinder that enjoys what he does.
Yep. And those can be the most dangerous, no doubt. Now, this Stasis Ward always interests me. I love when players use this. It can be, I mean, it can split an army in half. It can cause you to win. And that blink by Patience, on point. And look at how diligent he's been with just keeping an eye on everything. Great scan by Kellezer to pick that off there, but using the Oracle to constantly know where his opponent is, what he's up to, and combine that with Blink, and when you are a confident, opportunistic player, that can really rack up some damage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a uncomfortable place for the Terran to be. They rely on their drops sneaking around. That's actually how Kellezer had such a fantastic Youngster King. Was a lot of his series, he was in a tough spot, got a couple of medevacs out there, and then all of a sudden, not in such a tough spot, and here we go. There's another one.
That's a heavy drop.
Just absolutely has everything revealed. You're not going to go out and drop in that condition. You can't. And you won't.
That is exactly what he's about to do. 2 drop ships on the way, medevac moving in. We have 3 Widow Mines in there, backed up by the Marauder and some Marines, but oh god! Right on top of it, you cannot. Won't. He did, but he couldn't. He shouldn't.
Yeah.
He did anyway.
And that was the non-revealed drop, too. I mean,
yeah.
Think of what this is going to do to Kellezer, though. Like, that just happened, and he's going to be like, well, what am I supposed to do? Disruptors are coming out, Speed War Prism. The check against Patience is only 1 Forge, I think, and I think that's only just now his +2 attack. So kind of weird upgrades from him. The norm is definitely to go 4 medevac, or excuse me, well, you can see what I'm looking at. But go double forge, so you have really good upgrades. He's gonna have a lot of disruptors.
I can't believe that Kelazar is going for a Doom drop against a player with Blinkstalkers. But you know what? Weirdly enough, maybe, just maybe, scans is like, that's not pleasant. Can I find somewhere that I can go? There's got to be an opening. There's got to be a chink in that armor, surely. He's thinking to himself right now. But I don't think there is.
No, the army split of Patience is really good here. He's taking a 4th base well before turn. He's taking his 4th base. And I think it was a wise and a nice decision of Kelazar to back up from doing this attack. But look at the situation. There's an observer spotting him here. Rocks are down. Disruptors are coming in. Are we going to get that sweet shot?
Oh, God. Big warp in the back base, and Patience has hit the 3rd as well. That is nasty. These adepts doing some damage.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. He's going for it. He jumps right on top of it and catching Kelazar unawares, like distracting him with those warp prism drops, and then, as I said, just taking that opportunity.
And now a big supply advantage for our Protoss player. He does add the 2nd forge, by the way. And Kelazar can't even think about attacking the other bases. He just lost all of his army outside. He's taking his own 4th and hoping he can sneak away with it.
Yeah.
I do like that he's coming back around to Liberators. We've seen what that can do. Alive was behind against Petit Drogo, but then turned that on its head and made it a pretty clear win for himself off the power of Liberators.
Yes, absolutely. And with advanced ballistic upgrade. We're seeing that more and more.
Yeah.
The additional range makes a huge difference, makes it so much harder to deal with. And if Patience does have a weak spot right now, is that his air superiority is effectively non-existent. But there is a fleet beacon on the way and a 2nd Stargate as I say that, so that may very well change quickly.
It's going to have to. And that's actually the normal flow of the game. He did see it, though. I want to say that his Oracle showed up and saw all the Liberators, and he says, okay, well, that's how I'm going to respond to that immediately. Yeah. But look how patient Patience is playing this. There's no...
Oh, big blink forward. He goes in, grabs a Liberator. Nice pickoff. I just love how confident in... Patience doesn't miss opportunities. He takes advantage where he can. Phoenix now working away at that Liberator, but it is doing significant damage, and that range is making it hard to get rid of. So Kelazar's finally found a way that he can start to strike back, which is super important right now. Unfortunately, not sure what happened to that turret. I think it got killed by a run by that planetary fortress just sitting there. It's like, yeah, it could be picked off. It would be a significant investment. I almost think Kelazar's hoping that it gets attacked so that he can take a really great fight, especially with the Liberators in play. He could do a lot of damage with that.
Kind of interesting. This army, it's only 1 disruptor actually, which is a little bit weird. It was double robo disruptor production for a while there.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the other one. Okay,
yeah, it's sort of split in two. Again, another excellent blink. Takes down multiple medevacs and units, and Kelazar cannot afford these mistakes because Patience hasn't missed a single opportunity to pounce when he sees something out of position.
Yeah. Nope, and he's being decisive now. He's been very patient this entire time. He's going to jump in here, not afraid of a single Liberator. No, siree, Bob. He has the 1 disruptor shot going forward with... But you can see that range increase on the Liberators, just kind of transforming them. They can just siege from so far back.
It's going to make attacking this... I don't think Patience has a chance of breaking Kelazar. I really don't. Which makes me think that what should be happening, which is what Patience is doing, is transition over to something that will work, which in this case is Tempest. The problem is, of course, that is giving the opportunity, but Patience found a way in. Big Adept warp in, again into the base, doing economic damage that Kelazar can ill afford to take. And the one disadvantage of that very stationary defensive army is the inability to defend against this kind of attack.
And there's just now a force making its way over here. But meanwhile, this is one positioning for Patience. Going to jump in on top of his Liberators, probably.
Oh, God. And these ones aren't deployed. But with the Planetary Fortress, he is going to get punished for that. And way more, I think, than he expected. He just gets out of there, but not without significant damage done. 17 workers were killed in the meantime, however. These Adepts did far more than they had any right to. And... this transition continues. Like, without the harass, without using I'm actually kind of surprised that he's not using one or two of those liberators to harass with that range upgrade. But Patience is actually using defensive Void Rays on patrol, knowing that that's a possibility.
Yep. Yeah, he just doesn't want to allow any of that. Now the Tempest shows up, and it's like, where do you go from here? He hasn't felt comfortable. Oh, Patience going deep into the Liberator zone.
Yeah, more Patience harass.
Good scans to deny that vision, though, and another warp in the back of the main, and this is such a nuisance.
Yeah, it's like,
Kalazar's got to force to deal with it. It's the multitasking that's a problem here.
Well, yeah, Kalazar's multitasking is being stretched. You saw those Marines just walk in, like he lost control of it. He's being hit from too many angles right now, and he's not able to handle it. And now key tech is being destroyed. You know, usually you don't see that for an adept warp in, but there's just so many of them that he was able to gut that base completely. And now again he comes in, and Kalazar's defenses are out of position. The Tempest kind of are as well, so he jumps on top of it, but they don't die.
Look at his medevac count. He's been feeling strained about getting Liberators out. He's lost these drops. He's got only the one medevac here with this army.
Yep, it's rough. And as this Tempest count climbs even further, the one advantage that Kalazar did have is going to rapidly melt away. The Liberators will not be able to stand anymore with those Tempest shots coming in. Kalazar's in big, big trouble. Let's make that clear. He does have an army right now, but look at the bank of Patience. Look at the economy of Patience. Patience would have to make a huge mistake, which he's not doing right now. 2 more Liberators go down. Nowhere near enough Vikings to handle those Tempests either. Like, this is full-on air dominance now from the Golden Armada.
We got a GG incoming soon.
I think we do. I think
we do.
Warping
inside the main. It's become critical mass. Like, he just kind of... He was underneath the Warp Prism, but the Warpin... You know, he didn't specify his target, so it just wasn't doing any damage.
It's overwhelming. GG. And I gotta be honest, after watching that, I want an explanation from Patience as to why the hell his win rate in this matchup's currently only 19%. After what, that was a clinic. An absolute clinic of how to slowly dismantle the Terran.
Well, it could be a confidence thing, you know? I think against a guy like Kalazar, he's like, okay, yeah, we've hit each player. He just defended really well. Very few mistakes in that way. Was active on the map, and then... You know, the only time he actually moved out is after it was like, he's playing so patient. He's like, well, I'm going to go attack now forever. And so but it was the right call. He never pushed too much. I think the only bad attack was that moment he jumped on the 3 Liberators with the planetary. Yeah.
Well, I think every player has had a moment in their life where they've underestimated the planetary, you know? And that hurt. That hurt a lot. But yeah, outside of that, just such confidence in taking those opportunities. Every time that there was an opening to do something, he did it. And you saw Kalazar just falling apart at the end. He was just pushed too far. He couldn't keep up anymore.
Yep. I'm 100% agreed.
Impressive, quite frankly. Very, very impressive. God, I'm going to have a look back. I'm looking at the current match history here, because like I said, I use a Ligalac for most of these stats, and they tell me form. And I'm looking at that and like, what happened? Who did you fight? Did you play a best of 21 against TY or something? Like, what is even going on? And I'm looking at what Patience lost. Most recent loss, SSL, just a couple of days ago. 2-0 by Beyond, got 2-0 by Bunny, got 2-0 by Gumiho, got 2-0 by Innovation, got 2-0 by Beyond again. So to be fair, not exactly fighting against bad players. Did beat Jack G in the VSL in May. 2-0 Maru, 2-0 TY. Yeah, so actually what seems to have happened there is he has been put through the gauntlet of the best Terran in the world repeatedly and came off worse for it, and you can't really blame him for that.
No, but he's still, I mean, like you just said, he beat TY, he beat a couple of those guys. Like, you know, he's playing against the absolute best. He's losing more than he's winning right now, but I think that's also in part the map pool, by the way. If you go back a couple months, the map pool was perhaps a bit bland, but very much so balanced maps. There wasn't a lot of complaining about that map pool. Now, it's not bland, it's exciting, but there is some balance issues. So that could have been part of it.
Yeah, could have been. Very much so. Oh, well. Congratulations to Patience there. An excellent game. So, I'm giving him an opportunity for a little bit of redemption here, Jeff.
That's what we're about here.
Indeed. We can rebuild you. We have the technology. His next opponent... I don't have to introduce him. I don't. Like, this is the guy, he is the King of Kings. He reigns over this tournament. He is still the most dominant player in it.
You can just say it. You don't have to be innovative.
Innovation. Right here. There you go. Well, Patience, you showed me a clinic of PvT. Do it again against this guy. You recently lost 2-0 against him. Show me that you can do it. I believe. After watching that, I do believe in him. I think he can. If he plays like that, not only will this be a hell of a game, but he can absolutely come out on top here.
Well, I mean, that's what's so fun about StarCraft, though, is like, a guy can play a game like that, and we're like, oh, that level just looked immaculate. What an incredible series. You know, just top-notch. Then he'll play somebody else. They'll get under his skin a little bit, or they'll be in his head because maybe they've beaten him a bunch recently. And you'll get a completely different series in the other direction. And that's StarCraft, baby.
It is. Absolutely is. All right. They confirm ready. Everybody's ready to rock and roll. There's a big conversation going on in the chat right now between those two. I have no idea what they're saying. Crank's involved as well. I wonder if he's asking what happened to Beyond. I think Beyond just went off to party with his roommate. He went off to party with Gumiho. That is the only thing that makes sense to me. Gumiho is like, I got chicken and booze, and Beyond's like, screw this tournament. That is understandable. I don't condone it, but I can respect it.
Yeah. And, you know, like we were saying, too, he was definitely behind. It's not this crazy thing where it's like he thought he was behind, but he wasn't. He was behind. He was behind by quite a bit.
Yep. Sply doesn't always tell the whole story. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We've been having quite a few kings dethroned very quickly in this tournament. It's just the caliber of player that we have going on right here. It's hard to hold the line against that. We saw Alive able to do it, but really nobody else. Will this man be able to? It's the southeast position here on Ascension to Ire in the red trunks, playing Protoss. It is Patience versus his opponent, the Machine. To the northwest position in the blue trunks, playing Terran, the King of Kings, Innovation.
Innovation, you know, earlier we talked about Beyond hitting that level where it's like, I don't think anyone can beat him. Innovation's another guy that has that ability. One of the most dominant in his time. He actually, like, kind of ruined Heart of the Swarm for about 3 or 4 months, where he just was unbeatable. And in the most I mean, no mark against him, but it was like, wow, that was good harass, and he's up 70 supply and attacking and just winning right now. Okay.
Yeah. He is that damn good. His performance in the SSL was nothing short of miraculous, frankly. I don't think that is an unfair way to describe it.
Yeah. You got my backing.
I would think so. Like, every time I think, people think, oh, all right, okay, that's it. You know, we knew it was great, but his time has passed. No. First place SSL just a few short weeks ago. 4-1 solar to get there. This is interesting. Patience with the proxy pylon in an unusual position here. Jeff, can you smell what Patience is cooking?
I think it's to be Stargate. I want it to be more exciting like a Robo, but I think it's Stargate.
All right. Let's see.
And it's like slightly closer, I guess.
It is a bit, yeah, but it's not. It's a very strange position to put it. Innovation doesn't see it. I mean, why would he? Why would he ever go there, of all places?
Yeah, and this is cool. I feel like what's kind of funny to me about doing a proxy like this is It looks like the Reaper is looking for a proxy, so it might not actually get the information that makes what I'm about to say funny, but a Stargate's like the norm in the meta. Putting it a little bit close like this, it hits a little bit faster, so maybe you beat a missile turret, but otherwise, not a big deal.
The pylon right here, faking out something, trying to keep that at bay. There's the cancel. That was odd. I mean, I guess it doesn't really cost them that much. Loses the probe, unfortunately, which is not ideal.
Yeah, if a Terran opens Reaper, they've been starting to follow it up with Cyclone, so what we just saw would get shut down hard.
Yeah, it would.
But in previous worlds, Terrans were just rushing out to get Widow Mines, and that pylon push with the Mothership Core could do a lot of damage.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't happen, of course. There was no Mothership Core, but Innovation didn't know that. Always important to try and maybe force a reaction. Like, do you almost think it was designed to try and force Innovation to build a Cyclone when he didn't necessarily need one? I mean, not that it would have made much of a difference. He could just cancel. He could have just canceled it. Here's that Oracle. Let's have a look around.
Definitely trying to get him to think, for sure.
Yeah. It's curious. Looking for a way in. Gets the SCV. Nice little pick-off so far. You know, what's more important, I think, is making sure that Oracle doesn't die, which it shouldn't. Not on a map like this. He's got so much freedom to move around.
Second Oracle, which is a huge investment, by the way. It really, really, really is. We have a bit of a forward attack over here.
Hang on a minute. That Cyclone got completely caught out of position. That is a very interesting mistake, I feel, from Innovation. I thought I just baited into it. And Patience now into the mineral line, trying to do some damage with these adepts. The warp-in is coming, and... oh, does not get out. One in the middle, but the Oracle's coming backstab in the process. Innovation immediately lifts up with the medevac to try and deflect that. Both Oracles get out alive, but not without some damage.
Really cool move to actually pick up the Marines and drop them, by the way.
Yeah, love it.
Kind of cuts down their travel time, and of course the medevac can heal right away.
Absolutely.
Which makes them public enemy #1 for those Oracles. But both players, again, this Razor's Edge we keep talking about. No missile turrets. His engineering base not done yet, but no Widow Mine, I don't think.
Nope.
Trying to drop it.
No mine at all. I just don't think he's built one. He hasn't got one. Here come the Phoenixes. Wants to try and jump on top of that, and nice landing there. Innovation's like, nope, you ain't. That's not happening. Surprised he didn't load it into the medevac of all things. Knowing Innovation, that is exactly the kind of thing he would do.
Oh my god. Probably the most unseen thing in StarCraft 2.
Medevac. I believe in it, man. I still think they're great. Like, the amount of damage they can do to Protoss units on the ground these days, so good.
Yeah.
In come the Oracles again, and the defense, uncharacteristically lacking here, but surprising lack of damage. And it's actually because the Oracles didn't have any energy. They were completely tapped. Viking gets picked off. Nicely done.
This is fairly unimpressive from Innovation just so far. Skimping on the missile threats at first was kind of like okay, I get that. But then just continuing on this... okay, there they go. They finally are going to go down, but it's been a lot, and there's been a lot of damage since then. Yeah,
could have been a lot worse, but yeah, when you look at what Patience has, they're not building a missile turret and relying purely on those Marines. I know you're Innovation, but you only have one medevac, you can only be in so many places at once. You don't have stim, more to the point. You know, if you had stim, I can understand that, but you don't. You know, it's only halfway done, so it's a bit tricky to justify what he did, and I think Patience has done very well already. You know, he has a 10-kill Oracle there. He has more than earned the keep of those Oracles. It's out of the way. Those Widow Mines almost connected. That was dicey. That would have turned things around very nicely there.
Oh, yeah. Especially since the army of Innovation is getting quite large.
Yep. This has a tendency to do. What's surprising is that Innovation he stayed on 2 bases, whereas the Protoss third is established. Makes me think, I mean, we have seen Innovation do that, like the 2-base massive push against Protoss, and made it work really, really well. I'm just worried with the amount of damage he's taken up to this point, if it's going to work as well. Well, he's about to find out. He's on the way. Widow Mines, tanks, Marauders, Marines, medevacs, oh my. But spotted. Patience knows.
Yeah. It is as spotted as it can possibly be. And there are no stasis wards over here, but there's going to be a ton of charge lots.
Yeah.
An Archon to back it up, a Phoenix to pick up key units. I don't like my odds for our Terran player.
No, although that charge was a bit out of position. Shame he couldn't capitalize on that. If he'd already had the tanks in position, that would have been great. The mine count is good, and a good mine detonation would help. That was an excellent tank shot as well. The stasis ward triggered by only a single Marine. That's good. Now building a missile turret to defend his army. It's like, well, okay, he's overcompensating for the missile turret. He's building one of the high ground. Look at this. He's like, come at me, take some tank shots, and here we go. Looking for the lifts. He doesn't lift the tank. There, finally lifts the tanks. The mines do go off, though. I don't quite think it was... Oh, second mine wave is, though. The chargelets come in. The tanks finally going down. The Terran is just able to hold on. What a brutal fight on both sides. How costly.
I thought Innovation was going to get mopped and cleaned up, but he was able to kite back and do some great micro to keep himself in this. Now feeling like I mean, this is an all-in, like you said. There's no CC behind it.
There was no.
So I'm not going to give analysis on, like, oh my god, what does he think he can do up here? He thinks he's all in.
Liberator in position. Alright, here come the Phoenixes charging in once again. He had huge lifts, unfortunately. Not being able to get rid of the Phoenixes, I think, was the problem. And Innovation's not able to make that work at the top of the ramp. GG. 19%. No.
Rocking 100% here.
Absolutely. Patience gets the opportunity. Slays the King of Kings. That was rough. Like you said, you weren't particularly impressed by how Innovation reacted to that attack. That those oracles were well used, but I was looking at them like, these could have done so much more, but it's like, where's your missile turrets? Come on. You can see what he's got in the air. You can't skip on that.
Yep.
Well, that's unfortunate. Innovation knocked out of the event. He's had a couple of streaks, and then sometimes he just falls flat on his face, I'm afraid. Still the most winningest player, as it were, but nope, Patience holds the line and starts to rack up some wins. Ooh, this is starting to get interesting. And we still have 8 phenomenal players left to go for him to face up against. We're going to take a break, folks, but when we come back, yet more action from ShoutCraft Kings. It is going to be fantastic, but there's something else that's going to be fantastic. Something else.
If it's a pun, I'm out.
No, it is not. This is something you may be involved in, though.
Okay.
Yep, it's entirely possible. I'm going to run a promo for it right now, let you know about another excellent StarCraft event that's coming your way, and then we'll be right back with yet more ShoutCraft Kings action. Patience ascends to the throne and holds it against all comers. We'll be right back after the break, folks. Thank you very much for watching. We've got way more to go, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ShoutCraft Kings, our current King of the Hill. The one and only Patience. Excellent game against Innovation. Kind of made him look a little bit foolish, honestly. And a clinic versus Kelazar as well. So, obviously, I think it might be time to stop throwing Terran at him. Upped his percentage, though. I'm thinking, my mental arithmetic is not that great, but if you were to take those 2 matches and factor it into that 19%, I can tell you it would now be better than 19%.
I can confirm these numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but absolutely, that is how this works.
I'm glad to hear that. Good. Confirm that. Never was particularly good at maths. Well, Patience is going to have to face off against somebody else entirely, no doubt about that. But in the meantime, I'd like to let you know, use the hashtag ShoutCraft on Twitter if you would like your messages up on the screen during the match. We can do that. Don't be too rude about it. Toss us some messages over Twitter using the hashtag ShoutCraft. Get involved in the conversation, and you can be on the stream. Again, big thanks to Blizzard for sponsoring this tournament. $5,000 worth of prize money every month for these guys. $250 a map. Hell of a payout for some of these. I mean, some of these maps last like 4 minutes. That's a pretty good rate.
Yeah. It's a great game.
Yep. Make good money. I think the only people that make more money than that in 4 minutes are probably strippers. Let's be honest. And as much as I like all of these guys in the StarCraft 2 scene, would I want to see any of them wiggling their arse in a G-string? No.
Yes.
No.
Oh, yeah, no.
No.
Of course not.
No.
I agree. I would not either.
There's a lack of sincerity in your voice that is concerning me.
No, it's totally... I wouldn't want to see him naked either.
I'm gonna let it slide for the time being. I'm just saying,
if firemen can sell all those calendars, why wouldn't StarCraft programmers do it?
I can think of a few reasons.
Okay.
Alright, the next opponent will not be a Terran. We're quite done with that for the time being. But I'm interested to see where this goes. This player was complaining about being put into this matchup. He had a bit of a rough time during WCS Yon shopping with Protoss, but I know how good he is historically. I also know he just likes to complain about everything.
Yeah.
It's Nerchio.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Indeed. The most successful foreign player in ShoutCraft Kings by a significant margin, in fact. Went on that legendary kill 7 top Korean streak that we remember. Yep. So very, very good. Now he must face off against Patience.
About too.
It is.
Yeah.
As it should be. It's pretty rare to, it's pretty rare to see anyone go on a streak like that, much less against those kind of people. Despite not really gaining much success in Yon shopping, he's still ranked the 3rd best foreign player according to Ligalac right now, just right behind Cyril and Neep, who were the finalists, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, he took 2nd at Austin, and then, while it wasn't a good finish for him in Young Shipping, that's by Nerchio standards. He still made it to round of 32, I want to say, and lost to Drogo, who is one of the 2 Protoss to make it to the round of 16 and have a decent showing there. So, not a whole lot of shame in that, although, of course, these guys would tell you it's like a horrific thing that happened that way. Yeah.
Interesting stat for you, by the way. So, Aligalac classifies Patience as a nemesis of Nerchio. One of his biggest nemesis. In fact, the only 2 players who are bigger nemesis of Nerchio were Titan, as in the old Rockskiss player, and MMA.
So you have to go way back, is what you're saying.
You do.
Get that.
Yeah. Right now, the difference in wins is -9 in favor of Patience. Although the most recent matchup they played, which was in the group stage of IEM in March, they actually haven't played since then, was a 2-1 in favor of Nerchio.
Well, there you go. It's definitely within his grasp to beat this, to beat Patience. Patience,
totally.
Is a tough opponent, but it's a nice clashing of styles in the sense that Nerchio's like known for his defense, and Patience is going to try and harass him, while if not spilling over into like a 2-base all-in, then at least trying to secure a fast 3rd. I mean, that's what every Protoss does, but I just guarantee you Patience is going to open up Stargate, maybe Archon drop, and be very harass-oriented behind something.
I would think so. Let's see this rivalry continue. And honestly, I never, ever believe Nerchio when he complains about something. In fact, I think it's actually a rule of every StarCraft player. If they complain about a matchup, they're about to probably win it handily.
They, at the very least, are hugely biased.
Yes. Their perception of their own skill and their skill in a particular matchup is often completely off base. And even if they're good at a matchup, they might just not like it. They may not enjoy it. They may have had some bad experiences with it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, your current form is like 75% against the best players in the world. God, I hate this matchup. You dominate!
Stupid.
They need to show numbers. It's gotta happen. Alright.
Agreed.
To the southeast position, ladies and gentlemen, the challenger to the throne in the blue trunks. Playing Zerg. Team Euronics Gaming, it is Nerchio. Versus his opponent in the northwest position, the reigning king of the hill, in the red trunks playing Protoss, it is Patience.
He's just going to open up with a cheeky Nexus first, in-base pylon even. Spawn up at the gateway. That's the kind of stuff that you can probably get away with against Nerchio. He'll obviously mix in some cheese. I think that's one of the kind of underrated aspects of Nerchio is that he's not afraid to do some different builds.
Yep.
But that's the mind game and the fun part about a best of one as well. And we've talked about this a few times, but it feels like it's very polarizing where someone's like, oh, it's a best of one? Well, I'm going to cheese the shit out of them. Or, wow, it's a best of one. I'm going to macro for days.
Yeah, when we first announced the tournament, the first reaction of a lot of people is this is going to be a cheese fest because it's a best of one, and then historically, almost never was there a cheese.
Yeah.
Like, it's too risky. You know, that's a coin flip on not only $250, but the potential of thousands. You want to flip a coin on that? Like, no, you're better off just playing a good game and playing to your strengths. So, no, we rarely ever see cheese in ShoutCraft Kings. It is the vast minority of matchups.
So I love the different like mentalities of StarCraft players and how you can see them. A while ago, do you remember that terrible German studio that was doing content? I can't remember what they were called. They ended up having that tragic closing, but for a while they had a show match series with StarCraft players where every time you won, you gained more money, and you were in the situation where you could buy out. You could not risk it.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? And it ended up being the most hilarious shit show because every StarCraft player won one match.
And then just bought out immediately.
And it was like, yeah, I'm good with that. And they're like, no, but you can double your money. And they're like, yeah, but what if I lose it? And they're like,
yeah. Surprising lack of gamblers in a scene that's known for playing poker. It's very odd, you know? A lot of StarCraft players, especially the European ones, you know, love poker. But no, they wouldn't take the damn risk, you know? It's
they just want the money.
Yeah.
They want the safe bet. So in a best of one, you'll get these crazy people that'll do cheeses for sure. But even then, I would tell you it's probably not the first game they play.
No.
And I realize the irony of this. Today, we had some first game cheesers. But
yes.
Over the breadth of all of ShoutCraft Kings, it's very rare. It's definitely in the low percentage of what happens.
Yeah. Right now, we have quite a few lings coming out. There's a wall, so less Patience makes a big mistake. Shouldn't really be a problem here. Here's some interesting stats about Nerchio, by the way. So he's had total 12 wins, 7 losses, and run away with $4,500 worth of cash. And interestingly, why would you let that in? Why would you let that in? We were just talking about this. You were fine. You had a wall. You let that in. And Nerchio takes the opportunity. And good crisis management here from Patience to not lose workers. Yeah. But lost mining time also is a thing you lose. And you shouldn't have to manage a crisis like that in the first place. They should have never got in. But good on Nerchio for seizing that opportunity. Yeah, lost mining time, scouts the whole base, and then 3 photon overcharges. So yeah, for a pack of like 10 lings, Nerchio's super happy with this. Oh, of course. That should have never even happened. But how many times have we said that about an early ling run by against a supposedly walled off Protoss, right? That's just so very rare. Nerchio, as usual, complaining about the matchup and then does something incredible. Shuts down the possibility of a third. That's just like, I'm an expert at this matchup. I know exactly your timing, and because I scouted you, I know pretty much how much money you have. Yeah. And Nerchio, his signature is, by the way, just being mega active with lings. It's part of who he is as a player and a big part of the reason why he's so tough to play against, but also really good, getting good information, seizing the opportunity. I mean, like you said, the freaking Adepts just barely shaded away, and he's like, thank you, and just like pops in there. It didn't even take him a second to realize what was going on. Yeah. And now he's making a lot of lings, by the way. I think he's a little bit worried about this Adept attack coming in, but as we can see, this is not a full-fledged Adept attack. It's quite a few, though, don't get me wrong, so he's got to take it pretty serious. Yeah. Yeah, don't want to take the risk. Yeah, he's sitting comfortable at 3 bases. There's Baneling detonation going off. Needs to get out of there. Another one hits, and a nice little chase down here, so he's going to pick off a couple. They don't teleport either. They're a nice little fake out. I've got to give credit to Patience for that. The Nerchio backs off thinking that they're going to ghost warp, and he ends up not doing that. So Patience gets a bit more for his money. You know, he lost them, but he was trading out much more efficiently. Gets back in and gets a couple of workers in the process. Good to maximize value.
He does. And he does see a lot of Lings out there. So I'm kind of looking around the map to see what his reaction is. He's got a decent number of gateways, so maybe he just feels confident that he can lock it in with Adepts. Incredibly weird wall in here at his third as well. But so far, so good if you are Patience. And this is one of the funny things I always look at, too, with top players. I'm like, all right, he sees like 60 Lings coming out of the Zerg base. What does he do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like he's just not overreacting at all.
No. Don't go out on the map. Nerchio's creep spread is not too much to worry about right now. It's never really been his strong suit, but it's not out of control. Patience just outside there, now going for a DT warp in to try and cancel his 4th base, and that's going to work. There is no detection. None whatsoever. So that's dead.
An overseer.
Nope.
Yep.
No sign of one. He actually made drop overlords. Immediate response to that is just to build 12 more drones. It's like, all right, okay. I'm going to need something to do with that. I'm interested to know what these drop overlords are all about, though.
Feel like Banelings. Feel like that's the right call here. Dropping on top of the army. There's a lot of sentries that he saw.
Yep.
We're seeing Adepts and Zealots. That's the soft underbelly, if you will.
Ooh, I do like this pylon placement on the high ground, though. It should spot this coming in. Patience should be able to react to this. He is now moving. He's moving sentries in, which, of course, would block the Banelings entirely. I just decided to see if he's sending a overload anywhere else. Nope, it's just one. Be nice to see maybe multiple, but then again, if you've got those valuable units out on the battlefield, they could be picked off. Archon drop now for Patience. Morph those DTs into Archons, having cancelled the 4th. Banelings get slammed. Picked off nice and easily here by Patience. So that didn't work out.
Patience ends up using a photon overcharge there, but I mean, of course, that's the right call. It's just that a lot of Protoss would not think the drop that Overlord actually has Banelings inside of it, but he immediately knew, went for it. Lings are going to try to get a cheeky surround a couple of these Stalkers who are fishing for that Overlord.
Yep, and another photon overcharge to be used. He gets both of them. That is a great trade. Excellent trade there. Nerchio's Ling usage is phenomenal. He gets so much out of so little. Looks like we got there was a Baneling drop here. Didn't do a huge amount of damage, only killed 3 workers up to the natural expansion there.
Yep, an Overlord is trying to make its way over there. It actually gets intercepted, but drops off a few of the Banelings. And now Patience is up on 3 bases. He's got Storm incoming, but I'd really like to see like a 4th base out. He's adding a lot of pylons. He did get a pretty massive supply block there. But what is the game plan? I feel like he's just going to push out, but even then, on 3 bases, I feel like he's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gates. It's supposed to be like 10 to 12 usually. But maybe it's because his main's getting mined out that he's not thinking about it. He's going to go ahead and take his 4th here, too.
Yeah, it seems like he's just sort of reacting to what Nerchio is doing at the moment. Big force of Hydra Baneling coming in here. It's just an interesting choice. Like, no ranged upgrades on the Hydras. In come the Banelings are quickly fended away. Storm is active, and those are some very high energy Templar, by the way. In the meantime, the Archon drop makes its way into the main base. Going to do some damage. 4th immediately cancelled. Nerchio just hammers it. And I am a bit worried, though. Like, it's a Hydra force. Hydra Baneling. Storm is an excellent answer to that. 14 workers killed, by the way. Like, there was no real response. Nerchio is drip feeding in Zerglings to handle Archons, which goes about as well as you would expect it to.
Yeah. He's going to eventually be able to push this away, but like you said, it's only when the Hydra started to turn their attention towards it, not the straggling of Zerglings. And even then, the Warp Prism and the Archon does survive.
Yep, that it does.
Nerchio able to get the 4th base up and going, and like you said, he was able to bop the 4th base of the Protoss player, so he's going to push out here.
Got
and
his
Nerchio does not have like lurkers or anything to fall back on. He just has to have a perfect engage.
That's actually a really big surprise that he hasn't gone for that. You know, without disruptors on the field, Storm is an okay answer to Lurkers, but as we've seen before, it takes multiple Storms. You've got to get dangerously close to make it work. Lurkers would have been a good option, but no sign of that.
I don't know, some players, they have their qualms with Lurkers in particular, and they just figure like a very large, well-microed Hydraling Lurk army can basically, or not Lurk, excuse me, Baneling, can get through everything.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Nerchio's very good at that.
Yeah. There's a lot of Storm energy, though. That's my big concern. Like, 7 Templar against Hydra Bane? That is nasty. I would not want to be the Zerg in that situation. And they're coming in. Force fields go down. Storm go down as well. Nice flank, though, by Nerchio. And then immediately was a huge Storm, losing a lot of Banelings. But another Hydra flank. He's all over him right now. Coming in from multiple angles of the Protoss army in full retreat. Excellent engagement from Nerchio to be able to avoid a lot of those choke points with the Storms. They finally stop the advance, but like, as I say, Storm is horrible for this. Nerchio says, I'll just attack from 3 different places then. And
Patience, I don't know if he knows what's up here. He's going to try to go into this, but there's just a 3-way surround. The Hydra going to go ahead and get some AoE, and the Hydra kiting is phenomenal. The Protoss army just melts. Oh, man. That was absolutely gorgeous. That was a thing of beauty. A couple of stragglers picked off, but now Nerchio with massive firepower. Not even with +1 missile upgrade. It didn't need it. He just had what he needed to do. Another Archon drop, that's great, but you're taking out drones in the main, which is not where the mining is happening. That Nerchio doesn't really care. Like, he already has enough drones to distribute. It's actually kind of weird for some reason. There's like, I think that's a 6th base is nowhere near saturated, and the north base for Nerchio isn't either, which is odd. Yeah. He only has 63 drones. Usually like to have it at like 70, 75, so you can kind of feel that difference there. Bit spread out, maybe, to avoid some harassment as well. Upgrades-wise, like, the Protoss has got some serious firepower, but it's not doing the job. He needs to get the good engagements, and Nerchio's getting them, not Patience. And those Storms are not really doing the damage. The Chargeless, of course, extremely effective against this. Some big Storms now into the middle. The Banelings were out of position here, and they run into a cavalcade of AoE attacks from those Archons. But there may just be too much Zerg at this point. The supply is there. The Protoss is... Oh, God, if there was just one more Storm, is what every Protoss has ever said ever. GG. And once again, Nerchio complains about absolutely nothing. No, he looked sharp. He looked good. We saw Patience executing at a very high level, and yet Nerchio gave him a bit of a bop. A little bit of a bop there. Yeah, he did. That was exactly what I would have expected out of a player of that caliber. Without question. Patience did well up to this point, but again, a clinical performance from Nerchio, which again puts another win on the board for him in this tournament. He is rapidly approaching Innovation's win total. I think he's now only 2 wins behind that. Wow. He could get it. He could get it right here. He could get it today. And I'm sure he'd be very happy about that. That would be something that no doubt he'd brag about on Twitter. And rightfully so, frankly. Yeah. No big deal. Hopefully this guy is doing a nice job for themselves. We had Kalizer doing a pretty good job there as well. And now it's the torch has been passed on to Nerchio for Team WCS Young Chapin. Absolutely. Foreigners are doing some damage. Not that we would expect anything less from Nerchio, of all people. You know, he is that damn good. Maybe overshadowed recently because it's like, hey, we got some new exciting toys to play with. We got some new foreign players. Like, yeah, but Nerchio, though. You don't seem to understand, but Nerchio... Still good. Still exceptional, without a shadow of a doubt there. Well, let's see what he can do. Okay, he's complaining about the Zerg versus Protoss matchup. He doesn't want to play that. All right. Okay, that's fine. I'm sure we can find something else for him. Can find something that he might like a little bit more. If he then goes and complains about the next matchup, then that's it. I'm not... No more catering to Nerchio. It's like, you've got to like some matchup, surely. I am... Okay, there.
Yeah, just switching servers at the moment. There we go. Joining the lobby, just 100% checking that we have our next player, and then we can get right on with it. Just inviting people at the moment. Again, thank you for tuning in, folks. Very much appreciated. And if you wish to get involved in the show, by all means, feel free to use the hashtag ShoutCraft on Twitter, and we'll put your tweets up on the screen. Hashtag ShoutCraft. All right. His next opponent. If he doesn't like Zerg versus Protoss, all right. He can have something else. He can have something else. He can have a little bit of Zerg versus Terran. And he can even have it on his home server, so he doesn't get to complain about lag either. Not that that has ever really affected him. His next opponent, he's been king before. He'd love to taste the throne again. It's Euthermal.
Euthermal. He's been hyped up a little bit. I can't tell if that's because I'm friends with Kevin or if it's actual real hype. After a couple of his matches at Young Shaping, he was talking about how he felt like he was in tournament winning mode, which is great because the 400 seed in particular, for whatever reason, does not have a lot of Terrans.
Never has really, has it? You know,
no, not really.
It's not. I mean, people's like, why? You know, why is it always foreign Zerg and foreign Protoss, and why is it we can't see great foreign Terrans that are able to compete with the Koreans? Most people would say it's down to how mechanically demanding Terran can be. Like, does Terran have the highest skill ceiling? Well, according to most people, yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, that's why in Korea, that is the dominant race. Because if you have the ability to go as high as the race will allow you, and then push those limits, you're going to do very well. So they have a ton of good Terran players there.
Yep. Well, we tried to start the game, and we are lacking a caster. Okay. Just waiting on him. There we go. All right, good. We have him. Excellent. Let's go. Let's try that one again. Odyssey LE will be the next venue for our encounter here, and I believe it's actually like 3 matches that Nerchio has to win to top innovation. I'm just going to double check that. We have a lovely stats side, by the way, for this tournament, if you didn't know, maintained by one of our viewers, MaxiTB. It's shoutcraft.maxisoft.org. You can check out all of the stats right there, very detailed. Yeah, Innovation has 16 wins on the board, and Nerchio currently has 13. So he's going to have to... Oh, God, I launched without my UI. All right, here's a bit of a blast from the past then. No GameHeart UI. We're using regular bloody UI. I'm sorry. That is my mistake, but never mind. Never mind, we'll be all right. It's always nice to have a little bit of nostalgia.
Yeah.
16 wins for Innovation, 13 wins for Nerchio. Is Nerchio capable of beating that today or even equaling it? Absolutely. But he's going to have to overcome this guy. To the southeast position in the blue trunks, playing Terran, it is Liquid Euthermal. Versus his opponent to the northwest position in the red trunks, playing Zerg, it's Nerchio.
And these two guys are very familiar with each other.
Absolutely.
Much like the Korean players we talk about, they hit each other up at the top end of their ladder, if not working out some customs as well. Similar here, Nerchio and Euthermal, both around 7K. I know Nerchio's above it. I'm not sure about Euthermal, but if he's not above it, he's around it for sure, which is... That kind of MMR is really tough to come by, because at that point in time, you're losing like 50 or 60 points every time you lose, and you're winning like 9 or 10. So it's incredible that these guys can have the win percentages they do in a row and get their MMR that high.
Well, you mentioned that they are very familiar with each other, which may very well be why we're seeing double proxy barracks. This has been a cheesy tournament, like unusually so for Kings. Yeah. And unfortunately, Nerchio's going to spot it.
Pretty much the second I said not as much cheese happens, I realized the error in my ways. No,
mistakes were made.
There has been cheese, and there's going to be more.
Yep. It's a terrible idea. Euthermal even going for the bunker. Like, this is classically cheesy. And there's already a Marine to stop those lings. We're going to need to see more. Roach Warren is on the way here. Like, straight up reaction to that from Nerchio. The question is, can he hold this hatch? There's a bunker up now. Ravager's a good answer to that, but it's not up yet. And there are Marines streaming in. This hatchery may very well have to be cancelled.
Sometimes they'll let it finish just because it's not even that they think they can defend it. It's just that they like that the queen pops out. It occupies their attention. There's not much more they could do, even if they did cancel it. So they just kind of weigh the risk-reward of the cost of doing that.
Yep, and it was allowed to finish, as we are aware. And I mean, there's 2 bunkers down, for the love of God. You can even pull the Boxer's good old bunker teleportation trick with this. Almost loses an Overlord. Actually does. Supply block. Huge, huge deal. Oh, God. Nerchio says he hated Zerg versus Protoss, but I think he's going to hate Zerg versus Terran here. That said, that's still a lot of firepower. A lot of roaches. Drives down the first bunker. Doesn't lose the hatchery yet. Absolutely key.
Lost the hatchery. He has not won the fight just yet. It's looking like he will, though.
Oh, loses a roach on the way out, and down the second bunker goes. And it looks like he is going to hold this. A big investment, of course, in defensive roaches when he would have loved to have been building drones, but you kind of have to in this situation. And now, Euthermal, well, he's getting nibbled at. He does have that factory in place, but now he's going to get those barracks back home, which is going to take a good few minutes.
And that is one of the big advantages for Nerchio here as well, is he's like, okay, I know that's the case, so he can... So for those of you at home, what his natural thought then is going to be is something from a starport, something from a factory, probably both. It's not uncommon to have a Raven circle around and start harassing you that way. It could be Cloak Banshee. We've seen that a lot today. Or it could be something like a drop. But you know something's coming, but it's not for a little while. So you'll see like 0 units and a bunch of drones.
Absolutely. But good job pushing that back. What do you think, like, if that hatchery goes down, bearing in mind, you know, the big investment there by Euthermal, is that worth it, or does he have to do more than that in order to really make that attack work? Or do you think he's in, I mean, even a decent enough position? Because I think more often than not, we overestimate the cost of a cheese like that and how far behind it puts you.
It's interesting. I think because the game's kind of normalizing here, it did put him behind, but Terran has nice ways to jump back into that. Yep. And we're seeing it being executed. It's all about this Cloak Banshee, and it's because Ravagers end up being kind of a common response, but like 1 or 2 Banshees completely turns that around.
Absolutely.
And then things like a fast third CC. Again, he doesn't have to land it at an expansion, although the Banshee kind of frees up that space. But if he's all of a sudden just triple mule and mining off a third base, that's how you get back into it.
Spores coming up, though. I figure Nerchio knew that this was a possible way to go out of that. It's like, all right, Ko, you have a factory at home. I saw that. That means you probably have a starport behind. What are you doing with it? I've got to put those down. You know, it's like, how do I lose a game from this position? Not have a way of dealing with Banshees. But he's still struggling, of course, because he now has to... I mean, that hatchery will... Because Cloak is there, there's no chance. Oh, no. Wow, that was a quick Overseer. Okay. I didn't think we could possibly have an Overseer by now, but all right. Never mind.
That Nerchio defense, though.
So very good.
Push it off. And immediately infestation pit, by the way, which is not your normal response. You don't
That's
go,
not common.
Banshees, infestation pit.
Yep. That's not at all common. But look at this. The follow-up, he sends the 2 Banshees in and then uses Marines on the ground to actually kill the 2 Queens. And then, of course, the Roaches can't do anything. There's more Queens on the way. He's going to have to back those off if he's not careful. But that was a nice little move. A good use of them rather than just giving up on the Banshees. Like, no, I have an opportunity. I can do something here and trade a few Marines for a couple of Queens. That's not too bad.
Agreed. It was a good effort, and this is the mark of a good Terran too. Just immediately pushing out, and this is not. If you look at it at first glance, you're like, "What? This is not a super amazing army," but it's just good enough. The Zerg wants to be droning up right now. He doesn't see it coming because so much until now the Overseer did spot that tank. And then you got to be just aware of how you have to protect these tanks.
God, this 3
Because the
Banshees.
Marines right now are nice, but if like 25 Lings come out, I don't care about the Banshees. The tanks are gone.
Well, there's only, my concern is there's only 3 Queens. That's not good at all. The Cloak comes in. Overseer is nowhere in sight here. I mean, we saw what was going to be a 6-minute 40 start on a hive, which is really early, but that third base is going to have to be abandoned. There is too much Banshee firepower. I'm quite surprised that Nerchio wasn't ready sort of for that response. Like, you knew that he had the Banshees, but some serious damage being inflicted right here. Those Banshees are still up despite heavy damage to 2 of them. An excellent commitment here by Euthermal to the use of Banshees, and Nerchio apparently caught off guard as a result.
Yeah, he's making those forced errors we talk about, like the Queen's pausing right there. They definitely could have contributed. And now the mistake in kind.
Ouch.
Too bad.
Man, he's still got 2 up. That stung. They're not enough focus fire to bring them all down. Roaches do jump on top of the tanks, which they're sort of left lying around, which is an expensive sort of mistake by Euthermal, but Nerchio's army taking a pounding.
Keeps on going. There's
he
another
does.
Banshee dying.
Finally.
A lot of idle drones here. Not,
so many Queens dead.
We could talk about the mistakes, but a lot of it's forced mistakes here as well.
Yeah, a lot of it's also like, I've got to get this stuff away. I can't lose any more drones. The interesting thing is, that looked really bad. And it was. But I think the situation sort of equalizes as a result of that. Like, it put Euthermal, who was behind, into a really good spot.
Yeah, they're somehow equal in supply. They're on equal bases, which is, shades of bad for the Zerg. Right off the bat right now, it's not the worst thing, but as the game goes on, when the main and natural start to dry up, you never want to be on a one income source like we have right now, for the most part. I mean, his natural's really healthy, but if that all mines out, then it gets pretty bad.
What do you think about going Ultralisk with an economy that's this fragile here for the Zerg?
I don't mind it. Obviously, it's going to be really hard to defend against the aggression that usually pops out when someone sees Ultralisk. But I feel like Ultras give him the opportunity to do like a 2 or 3 unit turnaround. So if he can upgrade that armor, which is what he started up immediately, several Ultralisks can tank ridiculous damage, as I'm sure you know.
Oh, so very close. Banshee close to 2 HP, and that again looks like it's going to be another forced cancellation. And a big drop, and suddenly high defensive Ultralisk out of nowhere. Not very well upgraded, but well armored, which is important because Euthermal has been lagging behind on his infantry upgrade. So those Marines are not doing much to those Ultralisks.
No.
God, he needs detection. He moves 4 Queens out there, but he can eventually just move an Overseer in there. Does he have one? He has 2. Unfortunately, they're all getting killed. They both were in the front line. Euthermal with a quick stab forward. Ravager Bile goes down, doesn't really hit anything. Oh no, he's getting dropped on top of it. Euthermal's air support, the aerial company dropping down. The Ultralisk coming is like, oh god, what are you doing to my friends? Finally pushes them back.
Yeah, the drop. I was trying to see this if this is like this new thing that I'm not aware of, but no, it was pretty bad. You drop your army on them and they just get picked off as they're coming out. Marines don't buffer particularly well right there. Maybe if they're Marauders or something like that. I don't know. But whatever. Not the biggest of deals. It's not like after that I'm like, wow, he's just so stupid. He threw this whole game away. It's not like that at all.
No. And what's interesting now is that Nerchio is starting to build up a nice count of Ultras. And the answer is Liberators, but it's taking a while to get there. Although I am a bit concerned because we don't see a Spire from Nerchio at all. So dealing with those Liberators could be a big problem.
Yeah, and he's nearing being maxed out. He's got his bank's okay. He could use some more. But I do have to agree with you. You want that as at least an option. And the nice thing about it, too, is it's not like that's the only thing they can do.
Liquid Euthermal getting nice and aggressive now. Is dropping in multiple places, attacking from multiple fronts, confusing the Ultralisk pathing in particular. Down by the 4th base, the Ultra was just stuck behind the Roaches, like, please let me into this fight, as the Roaches were dying. So, trying to test Nerchio's multitasking.
Test as he might, Nerchio's, like, known for that. Just gonna try to retake this creep down here. Ultra is just circling around, and as you said, it's a multi-prong attack, so he can't overcommit to one or the other, but 2 Marauders and a single Marine, not much of a drop. It's going to be whatever hodgepodge of Zerglings come out to deal with it.
Little bit of damage in that. What I'd love to have seen from Nerchio is maybe like a Ling drop, because there's very exposed mineral lines here for Euthermal, even on that 4th base, which is not yet a planetary. But he's just going to walk into the base by the looks of it with Ravager, Roach, and Ultralisk, and the Liberators were not deployed, so a lot of damage has already been done, and it gives Nerchio enough time to get the Ultras out of range. The Lings jump on top of the mineral line. Oh god, like just one cleave and that whole mineral line explodes. More Ultralisks on the way. Euthermal, despite sort of seeing the Ultras, I guess they were so quick. It's like, I don't quite have enough to respond when you attack me in 3 places at once with those.
Yeah, he's holding on to the best he can. He's way down in supply.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not about to talk about how this is like a really close game or something like that, but I will tell you, it's not an unwinnable game for Liquid Thermi. He's done a good job locking down this 4th base. He got overran, but did a good job kiting back to the Liberators. He again, did not lose that much infrastructure, TotalBiscuit. It's actually still doable.
No, he didn't. What I'm again concerned about is Nerchio is tunnel visioned on this strategy. There are now 8 Liberators, more on the way. That's getting to critical mass point where the Ultralisks are no longer tenable if you engage against them.
I mean, he's well on it. He's there.
Yeah.
8 Liberators is ridiculous.
Yeah, as we just saw, you know, the Ultralisks just get battered. In the meantime, though, there are a lot of Ultralisks, so those Liberators cannot be in the same place at the same time. And look at that, 17 workers. Oh no! Euthermal just runs right into those cleaves, taking yet more damage. Euthermal counterattacking, trying to bring down that 5th base. Defensive Ultralisk is in position, though, and Marauder's just not enough to take those down.
Yeah, a couple of depot walls are going to get killed here, so we kind of talked a lot about how, well, he hasn't lost much. All of a sudden, he has.
Yep,
that's one of his 2 healthy mining bases, too, keep in mind.
Yep, and Ravager count now enough to pick off those stationary Liberators, especially when they're not that well spaced out. Like, I mean, look at it, the Marines are doing nothing. They can't. They don't have the firepower against fully upgraded Ultras when it comes to that armor. Now Ultras make their way into the mineral line, do some damage. The Liberators are the answer, but they're not everywhere. And Nerchio says, all right, well, if you have those, I'm just going to be where they are not then. And down goes that Planetary Fortress. Down goes Euthermal. GG.
Another game that felt, well, I mean, that was nice. It definitely had its back and forth, but Nerchio was the impressive one for me. Great defense from the get-go. The active Lings, once again, playing a pretty active role here as well. And then just a nice closure at the end of the game. It felt like he was just in the driver's seat the whole time.
Yeah, he was. That was a great performance. Interesting start to that game. Very much so. I wonder how different a game that would have been had that hatchery gone down. And what was interesting is that Euthermal never followed up. Like, knowing that that hatchery was very badly injured, like, just either a quick run by or maybe a quick drop, pick it off, never happened. And yeah. I think that would have certainly helped an awful lot if he had managed to do it. I'll give him kudos for his Banshee usage, though. That caught Nerchio completely off guard and definitely brought the game back into a winnable state for Euthermal. But unfortunately,
yeah,
fast Ultras, lots of them.
Well, we've seen a lot of Banshees too today, by the way, which is kind of cool. It's definitely in the matchup. It's TBC that we've seen it, but it's just because Ravagers are so common. It's a really nice response.
I agree. It worked very, very well. It obviously caught Nerchio by surprise. He'd already seen them, but was like, "Oh, you're not going to build more." Like, most people don't build more than 2, and then he comes in with 3.
Yeah.
You know. Pretty damn impressive, honestly, as far as I'm concerned. Nerchio doing very well. Puts another win on the board. Brings him within 2 wins of innovation. Keep an eye on the stats for ShoutCraft Kings over at shoutcraft.maxisoft.org. Slowly getting there. Slowly creeping to the top. Impressive play so far by Nerchio. So anyone that's underestimated him or written him off just because he didn't have the best WTS Yon shopping, well, I would imagine that this is silencing a lot of doubters here. Never doubt Nerchio.
They don't play against him if they do doubt him, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that would be pretty damn foolish. Well, we'll come up with something for him, his next opponent. Something nice and challenging. Don't want to throw easy players against somebody that good, you know? It's like, it's a waste. It's a waste of a map at that point.
Right.
In the meantime, folks, you want to get involved in the conversation, use the hashtag ShoutCraft. Get your tweets on the screen. Just waiting for the next opponent to arrive. Should hopefully be here momentarily. In the meantime, I'd like to remind you that if you have missed any of ShoutCraft Kings, and yes, I know we've been gone for a little while, off the air since March, all of the spoiler-free VODs of those tournaments are available over at youtube.com/TotalBiscuit. You can watch any of them right from the start. We've got little playlists for all of them. You could just press one button, sit down, relax, and enjoy hours and hours and hours of awesome StarCraft action. Who does not want that?
Not bad.
I like it. Also, to anyone that is in the US and has stayed up for GSL finals and now for this, wow, that's some impressive endurance, I'll give you that.
That's me.
Yep, you are the greater monster energy elemental. It keeps you awake. It's the only reason you somehow get out of bed in the 4:30 a.m. or whatever it was. Did you stay up for GSL? Were you actually just awake?
Up.
God, yeah. You haven't been to bed yet?
It's a mistake.
StarCraft was a mistake.
I'm like, I remember when I would stay up all night and eat a whole pizza and do a gaming thing.
Oh.
And then I'm here now.
Then you got old.
God, I hope what I just said made sense. Because I'm not sure.
Hopefully everyone else is as tired as you, so it doesn't matter.
That's
all right. We have a next opponent. They're just going to hate me. I hate Zerg versus Protoss. Well, you're getting another one.
March of the Penguin.
Indeed. You are getting another one. A man who is perhaps best. Yes, indeed. Give it a squeeze. His zest. Give him a little squeeze.
You just rhymed his name now. It's like next level dad jokes.
Oh, Lord. Doesn't get any
He's
worse.
got quite the chest.
Yeah.
And
he has a wonderful gorilla vest.
Put him to the test.
Maybe you should give it a rest.
Hey, if you guys like what you're hearing, make sure and hashtag ShoutCraft and let us know, you know? Get involved.
Yeah, subscribe, give us money, and we might stop. No promises.
Yeah. I'll accept being drowned in dollar bills for sure.
Indeed. We're getting back to the whole StarCraft pro players as strippers thing again, and that's just a disturbing thing that we keep coming back to.
Yeah, well, a lot of people want to know when StarCraft has finally hit its lowest low. I'll tell you exactly.
Hashtag deadgam.
Yeah, we got a new tournament coming up. It's called Strip StarCraft, and for every game they lose, an article of clothing comes off. So they lose and we win, you guys.
Part of me thinks, how has this not been done already? And then I look at the current crop of pro players and I'm like, I think I know why this hasn't been done already.
Yeah. They're young too, man. There's some young ones. That would get into some territory.
Bit disturbing.
I mean, they're legal, but it's just for us as 30-year-old men to commentate them, it gets
All right, ladies and gentlemen, to the southeast position in the blue trunks. I need some bleach for my brain after that. Plague Zerg, current reigning king of the hill in the matchup he hates. He was like, do you hate me, TotalBiscuit? I've seen you play this matchup, don't lie to me. It's Nerchio. Add to the northwest position in the red trunks. Playing Protoss, the one and only Zest.
I think Nerchio experiences love through hate, though, as well. So, like, each time you give him a Protoss, there's a part of him that hurts, but that hurt is also what he wants. You know?
Apparently, we have a tweet from Nerchio in the feed.
Oh.
I'm going to see what that says. I'm sure it's really polite.
And he knows how to hashtag and everything.
Indeed. It's amazing. How did he learn that skill? How is it possible?
They grow up so fast.
Nerchio SC2. StarCraft 2. Becoming a streamer was the last step for me to become an unbeatable machine. Now I can't be stopped. Alright. Wow. He did just recently start streaming, which is weird. Like, wait, did Nerchio just not stream before? No, he really didn't. Which is bizarre to think about these days.
Oh yeah, I guess not, probably not.
Started quite recently. Apparently he's been pretty entertaining so far.
He's a funny guy. I mean, he has the... He's Nerchio. He actually posts on Team Liquid as well. Like, he's one of the guys that you'll be surprised, like a tournament's going on with him in it, and he'll be commentating in there with Scarlet. She also posts in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Well, not the chat, anyways, the forum. They're funny people. They're good people, though.
All right, let's see where we go from here. So we have Zest, of course.
How has Zest been this year? I don't feel like I've heard his name much.
Not as good as you would have hoped. You know, Zest for the longest time was considered the best Protoss in the world, really without question, I think. He has dropped significantly since then. You know, he used to be the best. Like, he's currently ranked in South Korea anyway, 14th, which is still damn good. But considering for like a year he was easily just the best player bar none. Yeah, it's a bit of a fall from grace. I do feel like in the Protoss in some respects are struggling a bit at the moment. He seems to have been affected the most by that. Maybe he spent so long at the top that he did become too observed, too dependent on what he was good at, and people just figured him out. Also, he may very well just have been one of the players that was reliant on a team house environment. That's one of the things you really have to consider. There basically is no team house support in South Korea anymore.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think you covered it really well. There's all those factors. I liked your particular point about maybe without a pro gaming house, he's not thriving as well.
No.
That is an interesting thing to look at. There were some players who need the house because if there's not a coach or someone yelling at them to play, it's not that they don't enjoy playing, it's just that they play a lot less, it's less structured, it's not as serious. And then there are other players that actually, like Violet, I always go back to this example, but Violet moved away from Korea and became 10 times better than he ever was in Korea. And I don't know his story well enough to tell you why that is, but that's beyond absurd and weird. To move away from Korea and improve is very strange to me.
Certain players thrive in different environments. Certain players want the freedom. They're better off being self-motivated out of that environment, away from other people. And then there are others that, as you said, they excel. That's how they get to the best possible levels. Zest may very well be one of those people, which is a shame. I hope he does, find a team house and is able to get back to that, because lately he hasn't been doing particularly brilliantly. At the moment, this Ling is cheekily tracking this warp prism across the map, just blatantly warps in DTs right in front of him, and those queens are about to regret that they ever stepped foot in this area. One gets immediately decimated. I am kind of surprised Nerchio sort of fell for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, because you can see them warping in something even if it's DTs and you don't actually CC them. Oh!
Zest, good lord. That would have been a disastrous error had he lost that. Hugely expensive cargo. Good damage done. Didn't get all the queens down, but reducing that queen count is important.
It's huge, actually. If you look at the army of our Zerg player right now, it's virtually non-existent. So obviously he would have been able to make more Lings. I don't think the game ends right there, but 4 DTs pack a wall up, and they can do a lot of damage. Had that queen maybe died from lagging behind a little bit more, it could have been a good game.
Oh my. Here we go again. That patented Archon drop. And as you said, there is not a lot of army here. Like this, you can stand and fight and do a little bit more damage with that, but he doesn't want to risk it. Again, it is a very expensive army. Zest, I think, is in a pretty damn good spot right now. Like, he got that third up nice and quickly, and Nerchio is uncharacteristically defensive at the moment, by necessity.
Yep. It's interesting, though, how he got here. It's like literally just him losing those couple of queens, and then I guess having these slow roaches forced out.
Nice
have equated to the situation where, like, you know what the other part is, too? Actually, his saturation at his third is pretty complete.
Yeah.
So he droned up pretty heavily, but no fourth yet, which is a little bit of a concern if you're Nerchio.
Yeah, I would say so, with the Protoss taking the third so quickly. And we go back to the Hydralisk play. So it was very successful. We saw an excellent execution of that against Patience. So I don't blame Nerchio for doing that in the slightest. And it's not as if Zest has done game-ending damage of any sort. He caught Nerchio unawares and did damage where he really had no right to. And this Archon drop has been effective. It's been annoying, but it's not done any major damage yet.
No, not really at all. And it's actually going to be Zest that comes flying out of his base. A little bit of an anti-timing. He's just now started +1 attack. He doesn't have a huge swell of gateways. The Mothership Core is not here. So this is just him being sneaky as hell. And I don't know that it was seen. But it just as it turns out, Nerchio is producing nothing but units right now. So he's in as good a position as he could hope for.
He's got a good army supply. Very roach heavy, though. With this many Archons, depending on the positioning, that could get a little rough for our Zerg player. Hydra count is starting to climb, though, and there are sentries in the mix, the Guardian Shield. Once again, we're seeing a very low upgrade style from both players.
Yeah, and that's actually... It's definitely been more on the Zerg side, but that's actually become, not to overuse this term, but the meta for a while now, is they just don't upgrade that much. Lings and Banelings and Hydra are just very front-loaded damage. It's early to mid-game, and then after that, they hope to have Broodlords or a lot of Ultras or something, but it's not going to go much further. But, oh my god, they gets broadsided.
Good lord, yeah, he went right for that. The force fields go down, but they don't help a huge amount and immediately get blasted by the Ravagers, of course. So, Zest in full retreat. Does have a warp prism, but as he said, no Mothership Core to warp out. So, he's going to lose... Oh, quick evacuation of the Archon. Nice move. Lost a couple of units. That could have been a lot worse. Of backing off in a position, but Nerchio's not going to stop. Like, he's continuing to push. It's like, look at this giant army I have. I'm not going to just run away.
Pull us back. Really good army control here. As you said, he is ahead here.
Yep.
But he's just kind of slowly realizing, wait a second, is this really all that you have? If that's the case, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, those Archons just didn't do the job. They were not able to get into position. I mean, you think you got Archon Immortal and those Roaches just die very fast, but the Hydras are just doing work here. And the Immortals, he's now just jumped on top of them and runs over this army completely.
I did not expect that, but the Roach Hydra composition is just so good. Even with that many Immortals, just the amount of DPS coming out from those Hydras, if left to their devices, is huge.
The economy is about to be devastated, and it was a very low economy build from Nerchio as well, but that's it. GG. Zest gets flattened as well.
All right, Nerchio, I see you.
Okay. That puts him at 3 maps, which that ties alive, if I recall correctly.
Today?
Yep.
Yes, because he stopped at 7, so he had 4 going in today?
Yep. And does that put you... that puts him within 1 map of innovation?
1 to tie, 2 to win, maybe?
I think so. Pretty sure. Nerchio. Wow. That was an excellent performance. Zest was just outmatched there. You know, outside of that one weird little error that Nerchio ran into, getting caught out by those DTs, losing the queens. Everything else was just, yeah, this is not even close.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yep, that was literally the only hiccup, though.
Incredible. Excellent play. We still got a few players left. That looks like we're going to feed to Nerchio at this point, because when you see somebody in this tournament with momentum, that's very hard to stop. When you see Nerchio with momentum, that's almost impossible to stop. I'm very curious to see who we can bring that will be able to take Nerchio down, considering how well he's playing at the moment.
Is it time for you to descend upon him?
No. No, it is not. Not literally or figuratively, is that true?
Okay. I had to ask.
Yeah. I mean, maybe at, like, Quake Champions or something, but he'd probably be at that too.
Active StarCraft pro gamers are eerily good games.
That they are, and I've always considered doing something like that, like a kind of StarCraft triathlon. So you play a game of StarCraft and then like a game of Quake, and then you get like a game of Hearthstone or something and see who comes out on top.
Yeah.
Who can we get? Oh, looks like... all right, we're going to have to run a break, folks. Our next guy's in here yet. So we're going to do a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have to find somebody to beat King Arthur, as he is referred to. In his current form, that's going to be pretty damn challenging. Looking at the rest of my players, like, he could beat all of these. And that would be kind of amazing to watch. We'll be right back after the break to see if he can, folks. You're watching ShoutCraft Kings June. Your current reigning king of the hill is Nerchio. He is on fire with some serious momentum behind him. Can he continue, or will he be dethroned? Can he go past Innovation's win total? Can he get to the top of the table? That's what he's trying to do today. He's one away from equaling, two away from beating it. He's looking very much like he could. He's got the form, he has the power. We'll be right back after the break to see if he can pull it off.